Hey guys. So talking about starting projects and when you should be starting the projects that you're working on with your clients, because here's the thing. A lot of times when we have a lot of projects we're working on with clients, we have the discovery call, we send through the quote, they love it, great. You're like, okay, so my deadline for this is this. So I'm going to look at that later, or because you're arranging all of the timelines and all that kind of thing because you have multiple clients. This is what we're aiming to get toward, or even sometimes too if it's a project with a recurring client, a client you worked with before, and they're like, hey, can you do this? You're like, yeah, okay, great. Here's the quote, and they're like, super, due on this date. Okay, great. And you think, all right, I'm going to set that aside and come back to that later because it's due. Okay, it's due on Thursday. And I know this client, so I could probably write it on Monday, Tuesday. Gives me a little time to edit. Okay. Here's the problem. When you get a project, you always want to take the time to read through the brief, or not read through the brief, because if it's a new project, you will have put together the brief. But especially with like recurring clients, or if they're sending you emails pursuant to the project, anything like that, read through all of it right away. Because Kate left me a note about this, she's done this and I've done it a couple of times. Sometimes, like those recurring clients, for example, they'll buried in this request that you kind of skimmed over, you're like, okay, you need a whatever, you have a new project or you're launching a new project, so you need a sales page. Okay, I've done that before for previous projects. I know exactly how to do this. Except in this project, they suggested that you talk to a stakeholder or you interview somebody or something like that. And surprise, you don't discover it until the couple of days before it's due because you didn't go through and read all of the important stuff that you need to know to execute on this project. And actually Kate was telling me too, there was a friend of hers that did something similar in that she thought she was all prepared for the project, sat down, got to work, and it turned out she needed access to WordPress. And she didn't have access to the client's WordPress because she didn't read through and realize that she needed it and request it. And that has definitely, this is live and learn, things that we will never do again. But this is one of those things that, and I've done the same thing where it's, I need access to this and I need access to it immediately and it's the weekend. Or, clients will send you through stuff and you're like, okay, great. Yep, I got all of it. This is everything I need. Super. But you didn't actually really look through and make sure it's everything you need. And then you sit down to read it or to write your project and you go, oh, no, there's actually this piece of information and I need this in order to write this project. So when you start dealing with multiple clients, I don't want to say juggling because it's not difficult to manage your schedules when you have multiple clients. It's really not. But when you are just managing your schedule with multiple clients, as I was saying, it can be very tempting to get the stuff in and be like, okay, I'm going to look at it closer when it's due, or I'm going to look at it when I have time to start that project. Don't do it. Once you are done talking with your client and once you're like, yep, I can absolutely do that, when you've still got plenty of time, go through the project and make sure that you understand it completely, of course, but make sure you have everything you need, all of the access you need, all of the documents you need. If there are any, interviews or meetings you set up, make sure you have all of that in there, because the worst time to discover that there's something that you need or you need to get or you need to do before you can write this project is when you sit down to write the project and you only have, you have a lot of clients, so you only gave yourself a couple of days to write this project and you realize, this is actually going to entail a lot more than I thought it was. And that is definitely a pain. And again, I have been there before, so please, and Kate has as well, please learn from us. And instead of project's in, great, set it aside because I have something else I have to do. But this project's in, set it aside, I have something else to do. Take a moment and, block time off the end of your day. Maybe that's a good time for you to do it. Take a moment, read through the project, make sure you understand everything it entails, make sure you have all of the assets you need in order to write this. Make sure you have, like I was saying, what's the word I'm looking for? Access to any programs you need, access to any documents, access to any people. Make sure you have it all, because if you don't, it's going to be a real problem. And just imagine if your client is giving you 2 weeks to write something, and the day before it's due, you have to come back to your client and say, oh, I know you gave this to me 2 weeks ago, but I didn't look at it and I didn't realize that I had to interview so-and-so, or, oh, I didn't realize that I need, like, ooh, not a good look. That is never a conversation that you want to have with a client. So save yourself some trouble, and whenever you get a project in, make sure that you have everything you need and you understand the scope of the project, and you are all set to go when you are able to sit down and do it. Do not put off that initial, like, I've got everything I need, that initial kind of checklisty phase. Do not put it off to when you're going to start writing. Get that done right away. Make sure you have everything you need for your client, because then you'll have smooth sailing. You will not if you wait until you're starting to sit down to write it and you realize there's something else you need and you don't have. So while you can wait to do the writing and schedule yourself that way, never, ever, ever wait to make sure you're totally clear on the project and you have everything you need. So that's a little do as I say, not as I have always done in the past. It's what I do now, but live and learn. Learn from my mistake, learn from Kate's mistakes. Save yourself some trouble.